welcome into the Between the Pylons podcast. Should I try that again?
Yeah.
Welcome into the Between the Pylons podcast. I'm John Camacho.
And this is Jacob Waters.
And guys, we have an awesome show for you guys today. We are going to be talking about the NFC West, the last division that we will be doing. So what's going to happen is this is going to be the last division. And what I'm going to do is we're going to cut together the conversations that we've had throughout the last 8 weeks. And we're going to put it in one big show. We'll put that on YouTube on the podcast as well. So
it'll be a long one though.
Yeah, so if you're interested in just listening to that, you can check that out as well. Man, we're going to be talking about the AFC West top 5, and then, honestly, just some of the big news that's come out this week. That's going to be pretty much the show. But before we get to that, guys, we have a special announcement. You want to take it over?
Super exciting. No, you can do it.
Okay,
It's good. It's good.
All right. So this is we've been talking about it for the past couple weeks behind the scenes, and we've kind of alluded to it a little bit on the pod. We are officially joining the Underdog Podcast Network on July 6th. So we are going to be a part of their podcasting network. So what that means for us is it's just a great opportunity to build our brand and get out there to a lot more people. We're going to be working with some really cool people that are also doing different types of sports podcasts. It's just going to be awesome. So we're actually going to hopefully be able to grow this thing to the next level.
It's super exciting. This is like our first step from us just doing it. Yeah. At one point we were doing this in our kitchens pretty much. We were just looking at each other. So it's nice to see that there's a little bit of reward coming. And we couldn't do it without y'all too. We thank you. It's one of our dreams to be able to do this and get in front and just talk football, and couldn't do it without y'all. Yeah, no, it's been an absolute blast, and we're just excited, hopefully going through the season, to build an audience and everything, and the people that have stuck by us this long. Thank you, man. Really, seriously, it's been awesome for us. They've been with us through some hard times.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah,
some really bad audio there.
We used to record out of a Pringles can. So
yeah, for real.
We're somewhere now.
Oh man! All right, so now that we got that out of the way, we're really excited. So next week, I guess we'll officially be on that network. So we'll probably mention it next week as well. But let's move on. We got to talk about a couple quick news, and then obviously we're going to talk about the Cam Newton stuff that happened this week, and we got a lot to talk about there. So
yes, we do.
Let's get through this real quick. Patriots were fined $1.1 million and lose their 2021 third-round pick for filming the Bengals sideline. So this happened last year.
Why is it always them?
Dude, I swear. It's funny. It's funny how this came out right when they signed Cam Newton too. Yeah. So it was spread
I've seen people say that because there's always some grand conspiracy with the Patriots.
Yeah, of course.
They signed Cam solely to deflect the news and attention away from another cheating scandal.
I swear. And it's so stupid because we remember when this came out. We talked about it at the time. Yeah. And it was just one of those things where it's like, you're the Patriots. You went on to go 12-4 in the season, and you're gonna cheat for the Bengals? I don't like the worst team in football last year. Yeah. I don't know. It was just one of those weird things where they kind of got caught doing something. I think most teams probably do, but
I think if always the Patriots. It's just the name. Yeah, it could be anyone else, but if your name is tied into so many different things and your name gets brought up in that,
I absolutely agree. Very, very strange. Very weird. But yeah, they don't have a third-round pick, which doesn't matter because the Patriots, they're not really known for their drafting anyway.
They'll have some compensatory pick rise up, and then he'll go to another team, and they'll get rewarded a third-round pick. So.
Exactly. So it'll work out fine for them. Yep. And $1.1 million, fun fact, is about their entire cap space right now. So, so that is actually a big hit for them. Anyway, moving on, the Hall of Fame game / ceremony has officially been canceled. So that
would have been soon, right? Ish.
Yeah, it would have been
August.
Yeah, God, it would have been August. That's crazy because it's essentially the 5th preseason game, and it's a meaningless game. Starters don't play at all, and really even most backups don't really play at all. So we're not losing much with the Hall of Fame game. I would imagine as the weeks go on, preseason's probably going to get canceled altogether.
I think so.
And I think we're going to talk later on because we'll have a lot more time on the podcast to really talk about the effects of Corona and how this might affect the rookie class and stuff like that. Right now, this isn't a huge blow, I don't think, to anybody. Yes,
I think we knew this was coming, if anything.
Absolutely. I think it sucks for the Hall of Famers that were supposed to be inducted this year that they're going to have to share the stage with.
I think it's a solid class too.
Yeah, I don't know the names off the top of my head. Do you know any of the names?
No, I was just lying. Okay. I was just joking.
I don't pay attention to that until it happens. It's one of those things where it's a talking point for a week and then whatever.
Hall of Famers deserve more than a week.
Okay, but like the way the NFL thing goes, am I wrong with saying that? Like it's a talking point for like a week and a half about the Hall of Fame, and it's like, oh, remember these guys? Oh, should he have been a first ballot? It's a talking point for like a week or two, and then like.
Agree, disagree.
Okay,
that's fine.
Now you're making me sound like an
I know, that's why I wanted to do it. That's why I wanted to do it. I don't even know who's in the class. You could have just picked on me for that.
Yeah, fuck you. I don't either, though.
I think it's, I'm going to look it up now.
Yeah, look it up.
Might as well.
Yeah, I mean.
Who should be due for now?
I can't think of anybody right now. I know, some of the big names.
It's Ray Lewis time, isn't it?
No, Ray Lewis went last year.
You can't prove
This is great podcast stuff. In YouTube. We're just all over the place right now.
Troy Polamalu, Isaac Bruce, Edgerrin James.
Okay, I should have known Troy.
Should have known Isaac Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
good
that's
names.
A good class. Yeah, that's a great class. Yeah.
They'll get more than a week in my book.
All right, so we'll move on.
Big news.
Yeah, so that's really it. There's not a lot of news behind, but other than that, but huge news for the week. Cam Newton officially signs with the New England Patriots, and I'm gonna let you take it away. I know you have some thoughts. I want you to start
don't
off.
put me on the spot like that. So if you're a new listener, new subscriber, I am a huge Auburn fan, and it stems. Not too many years before Cam Newton. Like I said, my fanship runs deep, and Cam Newton is one of the things that helped reach it to that next level whenever he was able to bring a national championship to Auburn. I love him. I've loved Cam forever. I always will. I'm always going to be one of his supporters, and this move makes me happy. I was genuinely happy yesterday whenever I saw that Cam Newton signed to the Patriots, because I was thinking, gosh, I still hold that 2015 Cam. I wouldn't even say 2015, 2 years ago Cam.
Yeah.
He was still Cam Newton. If he can come back healthy, and I think the Patriots are one of the best teams to go to for them to figure out and use that ability the best.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
No, you're gonna crap on him. Go ahead.
I'm not. I'm gonna play this first. This is from his YouTube video that he played. This is just a little snippet I wanted to play here.
I'm not bitter, you know what I mean? And I know since the first day I came into this league that this day was gonna come. I've been with the organization, a great organization, for as long as I've been in the NFL. And I'm sad that for this day to come. But at the end of the day, in the famous words of Nipsey, the marathon continues. Real talk.
So, I just wanted to kind of put that in there just because I thought it was interesting. The marathon continues. All right, so I feel like as this conversation goes through, I'm going to say some somewhat controversial things. I don't know exactly how it's going to be received. I think I know how you're going to receive it, but I don't know how it's going to be received.
I'm not going to be that harsh.
I'm gonna layer this with just some facts that I found. One, Cam Newton got signed for a bare minimum deal.
Yes.
So the number is $7.5 million. Those are incentives. It's worth up to $7.5 million for Cam Newton, the presumed starter this week. We're gonna get to that. I thought it was interesting. This is the first time in history, in NFL history, that a team loses a former MVP quarterback and signs another one in the same offseason. It's just a weird stat, but I thought that was interesting. Apparently, these are just reports that came out last night and this morning. The Pats are the only team to offer Cam Newton a contract, which I thought was crazy. And the only other team that even talked to Cam were the Browns.
And I'm assuming that was before the Case Keenum deal, maybe early on.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Well, that's just what I can assume, because it seemed like once they got Case,
some money on Case.
They spent Case like $18 million.
And you're not. You're wearing the Baker right now. Yeah. You're not signing him to be your starter. You're signing him to be your backup, and maybe. And I understand why the Browns wouldn't do that. That doesn't really make sense. It
sounds like it was more just a literal drop in, which you would think. Them doing their due diligence, that's smart as a franchise.
How does every team not talk?
Yeah, exactly. How does every team not at least seek out the former this is a guy that if he would have stayed on the same path, we're talking a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
his physical ability is unlike any other. And, injuries aside, if we're able to put the injuries aside, I get that's the biggest thing with Cam. I truly believe he can still be that. I'm not going to sit here and say Cam's going to the Super Bowl. I'm not going to sit here and say that Cam can be another MVP. I am saying, though, if Josh McDaniels is willing to invest and turn the offense into a Cam Newton style thing, it can work.
Yeah. Look, and that's why I love having this conversation, because I think there really is a lot to unpack, and I want to kind of get to it. And where I really want to start is I feel like everyone was kind of connecting dots here for a long time, right? The Cam Newton to the Patriots thing was not something like this isn't. shocking for anybody, I don't think, because it was really the only team that made any sense, right?
Yeah.
It was maybe Jacksonville doesn't believe in Minshew and wants to take a chance on Cam Newton. It was, maybe Cam Newton goes to the right team and is the backup, but even if he does that, I
thought there was a chance he rejoined Ron Rivera and the Redskins.
Yeah,
but
there was a small chance. And then other than that, it was just injuries or Patriots. The reason we didn't think this was going to happen were a couple reasons. One, and let's just be blunt, I hope you don't disagree with this, but the way the Patriots offense has worked for the past 10 years, Cam Newton's not a fit.
20. Tom
Brady.
Brady.
Thank you. I thought I was being conservative. I'm glad you agree with that.
20.
So 20 years, Cam Newton is not a fit on this Patriots offense. So that doesn't mean the Patriots are the smartest coaching staff in the league. They can fit their offense to work around Cam Newton. If they build their offense around Cam Newton, this is gonna work. I will fully say that. But one of the reasons we didn't think this was gonna happen was because there were reports that Josh McDaniels wasn't necessarily high on Cam Newton when he was talking to the Panthers about their head coaching vacancy, and that was a quote that I found from the Atlantic, I believe. So Josh McDaniels was pretty much on record saying he was not high on Newton.
I mean, necessarily high. Like, that could probably just mean that he wants to go a different direction.
Yeah. So this stemmed from when he was talking to the Panthers about a head coaching job. I believe this would have been. It would have been this offseason, so Josh McDaniels was obviously in conversation, and if he was going to go to the Carolina Panthers, he was probably going to move on from Cam. Obviously, Rule felt similarly, so that's what happens there. It's strange. I don't think we can. Would you disagree with that? The part of it that's strange for me is the timing, and that's
the timing is off because it is so weird, and it is so weird to see how the Patriots players have responded to this too. Because there was early on in free agency, if this move would have happened, I think there would be a lot more hype behind it too. Because it's like, oh gosh, they didn't even give Stidham a chance. They are automatically showing we need a guy. We're going to get Cam. We're going to invest and put our team around him. But now waiting June 30th, June 27th, 8th, wherever it was, 2 days ago, I mean, it shows that they were at least willing to entertain the thought of going into this season with Stidham.
Yeah,
more than entertaining. I mean, you were planning on that.
Honestly, that's a big part of my thing here. I think they were not only planning, I think they were excited to. I really believe, and this is all a theory. This isn't based on anything other than just my assumption of the way Bill Belichick thinks. And I truly believe that Bill Belichick wanted to come into this season, at least a little bit, wanted to come into this season and show the world that he can win without Tom Brady. And in my personal opinion, I've gotten backlash on this for saying this before. I don't think that's crazy to say that Bill Belichick was carrying Tom Brady for the past couple years. And I just mean that based on the decline that we saw from Tom Brady, which I felt was very clear. And we saw how the Patriots transitioned to defense first, offense first, defense first and run game first type of team that took as little chances with throwing the ball as possible. And there's a reason for that. Tom Brady declined physically. That's okay to say. I mean, still the greatest quarterback we've ever seen, Like
you were walking on eggshells.
Oh, no, I'm just so, I know I'm going to offend somebody who's like, oh, no, Tom Brady never declined. Well, he was 42, 43 years old. Yeah, he declined a little. I'm sorry, he did.
No, I mean, he's dropped a little. I think that in the areas that we don't see the weaknesses yet is what I'm saying, because I think Belichick Patriots and Brady, that's one of the things that I love about Brady, and one of the things that I loved about Peyton too is I compare them in saying that in some ways where their game declines, they raise it up in another level. Like, so when Tom probably can't throw the ball 50, 60 yards right now. He could throw 50, I'm sure, but he's not the strongest arm. His arm strength has declined. He can do it with his head. The way that he makes his calls at the line, it's something that Peyton was able to do. The GOATs of the game have a way of changing their game as they get older, and he's no longer in an athletic prime. I mean, it's kind of like LeBron nowadays in basketball. Yeah. He's no longer doing that, but the way that he's able to affect his team and elevate the guys around him, that's what I give to him.
I 100% agree with that. I 100% agree. When I talk about decline, I only mean the physical ability, and he absolutely, I mean, he's Tom Brady. He's always been at the top of his game mentally. I mean, shit, you don't come back from as many.
Well, that was always the thing that scared me about Tom. I mean, was the way that he studies the game, the way that he knows what you're going to do before you do it, and the fact that he is able to make the throws. But physically, I never really thought Tom Brady was anything more than.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been my argument.
There's nothing wrong with saying that.
I don't think that's.
Are you afraid of Tom Brady scrambling on you? Or are you afraid of his maneuvering out of the pocket? No. Tom Brady's going to sit there and he's going to nickel and dime you down the field, and he's going to call the right audibles on the field. That's what he does.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's gonna run a system that was really, really good for a long time.
Yeah, and changing into that, Cam Newton is the almost exact opposite of that. I mean, Cam Newton makes plays with a broken down pocket. He's able to extend the play. He is exactly what the Patriots have not had in their entire franchise history. Yeah. It's true.
No, I absolutely agree. So let's set this up. The first question is for you, and I think for everyone, there's not really a right answer, but why now and why at this price, right? So how much do the Patriots actually value the Cam Newton for basically giving him, a league min deal and nothing like what Cam Newton deserves realistically for a team that didn't have an obvious starter. Yes, we all believe that they were willing to go into the league with Stidham. I actually was kind of excited to see Stidham. I really was. I know you were as well. But
it's an Auburn quarterback.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah, now they are. But I'm just saying, like I was excited to see what the Patriots were going to do with Stidham because I believed that the Patriots. We had an all-out argument when we talked about the AFC East, the AFC East, when we said, I thought the Patriots were going to win the AFC East. I thought they were still going to be at the top of the division. You disagreed with me. Yeah, so that was a whole argument, and my whole thing was I didn't care that I didn't think Stidham was a huge downgrade. Like, at this point in his career, I thought the Patriots can probably hide Stidham's deficiencies just the way they hid Tom Brady's deficiencies. I mean, that's just how I felt about it. So why are the Patriots making this move now?
Because I think that Cam Newton is dirt cheap right now. I mean, it's disrespectful to Cam. Richard Sherman and a few other athletes took to Twitter, too, and defended Cam in saying, how many unanimous MVPs, how many legendary seasons do you need in the NFL to get signed? I mean, Jameis Winston and Cam Newton added up, it's $5 million cheaper than Chase Daniel of the Bears. That's disrespectful to both of them.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
I mean, we're talking Jameis last year had a really good year, and Cam of old is one of the greatest game changers we can see.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about two guys Jameis, who, he makes a lot of dumb mistakes, but physically he's an incredibly gifted player. He just has the downside of the stupid.
But that's why I think the Patriots got Cam, is because it was like, he's just sitting there. He's just sitting there for that cheap. Yeah. Gosh, I can't name enough people that get more money than that.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And the thing that people are going to push back on is the Pats had only $1.3 million in cap space, right? So they're kind of in cap space hell this year. They weren't able to make a lot of moves. The argument that I have against that is in 2021, they have $90 million. So they had room. So, and I understand.
They have the most dead money, I think.
Yeah, they have a lot of dead money this year. I mean, Tom Brady didn't help. There's a lot of different things that went into that, and that's fine, whatever. But they could have easily extended some people, moved some money around, and made room for Cam Newton, to sign. If they were very high on Cam Newton and wanted to sign him at a premium, like when Cam Newton was probably asking for at the beginning of free agency, or whenever because he wasn't technically there at the beginning of free agency, but whenever they made the move for Bridgewater and Cam Newton ended up being a free agent, at that point, whatever he was asking for then, the Patriots could have paid for it, or at least could have gotten some kind of deal at that point. And all they would have had to do was move some money around and put some of the money that they owe this year into next season. I mean, teams do that all the time. So I don't think the cap space thing is an argument, as a long way of saying don't use the cap as an excuse. The Patriots did this because they could, but they didn't need to. Is that fair?
I get that. I'm trying to hold myself back because I don't want to just hop on board this Cam Newton Patriots train, because if there is a team that makes a lot of exciting moves sometimes and then have them just die out, Patriots got Antonio Brown. Everyone was jumping up and down. It was like we knew it was going to happen. That was going to be and then he's on the team for 2 weeks and he's out. I know there was a lot of stuff, of course, Antonio Brown issues. Yeah. But we do have injury issues with Cam Newton that could easily hold him back from this potential too.
Absolutely.
I think though, you're talking Patriots are still going to win that division with Stidham. I only see it going up with Cam.
Yeah. So my whole argument about this is because I do think Cam Newton is going to be the starter. I don't know how many more games Cam Newton wins the Patriots. Like in the sense of I watched the Patriots last year just dominate people defensively, right? They were just so good defensively, and they could run the ball, and they just did what they had to do on offense. I mean, you know, I don't think this is news to anybody. They won the Super Bowl 10-3 2 years ago, and last year they played every game very close, and there was just a defensive battle every single week, it seemed like, and they were able to win a lot of games doing that. With Cam Newton this year, I can't imagine they're going to want to stray too far away from that. So they're going to keep Cam Newton. I feel like my perception, my guess is they're going to keep Cam Newton on a leash at a certain point. Like, they're not going to have him just. It's never going to be backyard football for the New England Patriots. It's never going to.
They will never do that.
Yeah.
No.
So it's never going to be Newton style. You know, just go out there and beast mode it. But you know, I think Newton can play in that system. I think Newton's he's a good pocket passer too. We talk about his physical ability.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's underrated. I mean, he is still able to just sit in the pocket
got a great
and launch
arm
the ball.
Absolutely. So I think I think it's going to work out. I think the Patriots are going to turn Newton into a very hot commodity next year. But my whole pushback is people are looking at this move and saying, "Oh, the Patriots are a Super Bowl contender now." They were a Super Bowl contender last week too, in my opinion.
That's fair. And just saying that the system itself, looking at what they're able to do with what they got, they still have a world-class defense. Yeah, they still have. I mean, their offense is Josh McDaniels and Belichick. They're geniuses. There's no other team in football that we can look at an offense and totally disregard who they have. Just look at the guys running it and say it's going to be good no matter what. Like, they will find a way to win games because of it, and they will.
I absolutely agree. I mean,
I just think one of the things that people shit on Cam for is accuracy issues. That's shoulder related. That's shoulder injury related, because before that there was no issue with that.
No, not at all.
A lot of explosiveness issues, ankle injury. Every single thing that knocks Cam Newton is injuries. And I think that he was too prideful in himself in the city of Carolina and that team that lacked talent. There was no McCaffrey at the time. There was no DJ Moore. There was nobody there. There was an old Steve Smith and D'Angelo Williams.
That is the saddest part, is if you look at the team that Cam Newton took to the Super Bowl.
Nobody.
And you say their best wide receiver was Ted Ginn Jr. at the time.
Yeah.
Who's now on his third team since then. It's so sad that you see that. And then now you look at the Panthers and
the Carolina Panthers are ready now for Cam Newton. Yeah, they were ready for healthy Cam now. They could legitimately have one of the best teams in the league. Yeah. But what happened, and I do think Cam was too prideful in not coming forward about his injuries. Yeah. Some would say he's leaning on it as an excuse because it's your only option at this point. I get that.
He didn't miss the 2019 season. Essentially, he played 2 games and lost them both. He didn't miss the 2019 season because he wanted to. He was hurt. He was significantly hurt. And now, we're a year later, pretty much. I mean, he hasn't played. He didn't play much in 2018 either. He hasn't been healthy since 2018.
So I think we got to give him that healthy note. Right?
I think he's gonna be healthy. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I thought it was very telling, and this is kind of maybe off topic a little bit. Chris Sims, who does his top 40 quarterbacks every year, and very smart guy in the world of analysts.
He put Cam at 10.
He put Cam at 10. Yes, exactly. With no team. This was before he ever was signed with the Patriots. He put Cam at 10. So that just speaks to his physical ability. I mean, people know how good Cam Newton can be.
But I don't think they do. I genuinely don't. I see so much hatred for him. I see so much.
Man, I got to be honest. I
see the hatred, but from the ways that he dresses. From people wanted to see the fall of Cam Newton. I will argue that to the end. The dabbing, the flair, the personality. Everyone wanted to see. It was almost like he was becoming the Golden State Warriors of the NFL for one season. Everyone wanted to see the guy fall.
I think that's a little bit because I don't think that's the case in the NFL. I think the NFL knows how good Cam Newton is. The NFL circle. Yeah, I think fans, especially where we're from, we live in a small town in Tennessee. I think it's a conservative area. Yeah, nobody that we're around, I don't feel like is a huge Cam Newton fan.
If I talk to people about Cam Newton, they don't talk about the exciting plays. They talk about him wearing something weird in the press conference.
Yeah, which I think is ridiculous. Yeah,
leave him alone.
I agree with that. We're on the same page there. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. It's just weird that so many different ways that people knock Cam Newton. Right. I don't see him getting lifted up a lot. I don't.
I agree.
And that's why I just cannot wait, because I know his drive and determination. Give him the healthy note. If he is healthy with the Patriots, God dang, I'm just going to sit back and wait for the I told you so.
All right. So let's put a bow on this. Do you think that the Patriots are winning the division now? Now that Cam Newton is signed, because we had this argument that you had the Bills over the Patriots. Do you think this changes? Do you think the Patriots are now the
I'm not going to change.
Winners?
I'm not going to change. I'm not going to be that high on the Cam Newton thing. I think Cam Newton's going to come in and win them a few. I think 10, 11, I really do think the Bills have capability of a 12-win season.
Yeah.
And I think 12 wins wraps the division.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's totally fair. I was just curious where you stood on.
It's close. I mean,
how
don't get me wrong. It's
Newton
close.
makes the Patriots.
I'm trying to hedge my bets a little bit and saying I hope Cam is able to do that, because if not, I mean, you know what happens.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And for me, I'm in the mindset that this didn't change a whole lot. Like, I love Cam.
Well, you had the Patriots winning regardless.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very exciting. I thought the Patriots were going to be exactly what they were the past couple of years, and that's a threat. I mean, a dangerous threat. Yeah, they lost in the first round of the playoffs last year to the Titans. It was a close game down to the wire. I mean, they easily could have won that. They easily could have gone to the Ravens, and they played the Ravens close too in the regular season. We don't know what could have happened last year. So and then obviously the year before that they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So the Patriots have not fallen off in my opinion, and I don't think they were going to this year. I just don't. And I understand Tom Brady leaving, and the way the team looks may have scared people, but man, their defense wins a lot of football games. Their offensive game planning and mindset wins a lot of football games. I think Newton is the cherry on top for this team, and I think they're going to be really good. I don't think that changed a whole lot because they signed Cam Newton, though.
I mean, that's fair. We just got to see how the locker room is going to react to Cam. I really think just personality-wise, it's a big thing because we saw a lot of Patriots teammates speak highly of Stidham and say, that's our guy, that's our quarterback. Yeah. So now, I mean, where does that, where does that shift attention?
My whole argument for Stidham was not based on play at all. I liked him coming out of college, fine, whatever. But, like, my entire argument for Stidham was the way the Patriots handled this offseason, and the way that they didn't seem to be worried about signing Tom Brady.
They didn't even draft a quarterback late. They got Brian Hoyer.
Yeah, they didn't seem to be interested in adding a quarterback in the draft. They seemed content with Jarrett Stidham. I think they wanted to see what they had with him. So with that kind of mindset, I wasn't worried about Cam Newton. I wasn't worried about the Patriots.
It seemed like they had the blinders on and they were going down the road of Stidham this late, and then you all of a sudden entertain the thought of a Cam Newton. It is different. It is. I don't know where their whole locker room is going to shift.
And again, I mean, you cannot make that deal. I don't blame the Patriots. Even if Cam Newton signed as the backup, who cares?
That's why it's embarrassing seeing that the only other team that contacted was the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with that. That's the crazy part is, I mean, Cam Newton is getting below average backup money.
Below average.
Yeah. So just
Chase
crazy.
Daniel making $13 million a year, Case Keenum making $18 a year. I think that's what Mariota's making, around $18 million.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Cam Newton. Man, I hope he proves him wrong. Yeah. I hope
it's gonna be interesting. All right, so we'll move on from that. Great conversation. We are going to get into the NFC West, break the NFC West down. Are you nervous? This is our last division. What are we going to do next week?
That's what I'm nervous about. I don't know what to do with my hands. What are we going to talk about?
I don't know.
It's going to be weird.
Yeah, it's just going to get really somber when we talk about coronavirus.
No.
No, I won't do that. I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. All right, so NFC West, we got to start with the 49ers. They were 13-3 last year. Go to the Super Bowl and lose, obviously. This is a great football team.
It's a great division.
Yeah, some really, really smart analysts were saying last year at this time that they were going to be really good, and those smart people ended up being right. I don't know.
Yeah. Credit to John. John called it last year. He said it that the 49ers would be good, and I think they had a lot of injury problems, didn't they?
Yeah, they had a lot of injury over the past 2 years.
Because I gave you so many outs. I said, bro, with this injury, you can go ahead and change it, and you went, I'm gonna stick with it. You were right. You got this one.
All right.
That's good. I'm waiting.
So as far as off-season moves, they trade DeForest Buckner to the Colts. They re-sign Eric Armstead to a long-term deal. They get him for a couple more years. Joe Staley retires, or I guess not officially retired, but he's not going to be the tackle for the.
But you replace him with Trent Williams.
Exactly. Replace him with Trent Williams. They re-sign Jimmy Ward. Why did I say Ford? I was thinking D Ford. I don't know. They lose Emmanuel Sanders. They trade Marquise Goodwin. They lose Matt Breida to the Dolphins, or they traded him.
Running backs don't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And beyond that, not any big names. So that's what happened as far as free agency. So they didn't lose a lot of big pieces. Really, I mean, they lose DeForest Buckner.
They draft Javon Kinlaw.
But they draft exactly. They used that pick that they got for DeForest Buckner for Javon Kinlaw, a cheaper version, and a guy who could probably have the same upside. I'm not saying he'll be as good, but he could.
There's a chance, though.
Exactly.
I mean, and you're able to save yourself that money because that's what keeps the train rolling.
Yeah, and not only that, they draft Brandon Ayuk in the first round. They ended up trading up for him, so they valued him.
I didn't think they needed to trade up though.
No, I didn't think they did either. I thought that was kind of strange, but they did, and they essentially had 2 first-round picks, and then their next pick was in the 5th round. So that's all we have to talk about.
That's okay though. I still think this is the same team, a great system coming at you. I'm hoping Debo's broken foot heals up well and they're able to get healthy. Yeah, division winners for me.
You think they're man? This is the toughest division, and I'm.
Do you see a decline?
I see a natural decline a little bit. No,
well, from 13-3. I mean, I'm not saying they'll go 13-3.
Yeah. So if they're, my mouse isn't working. Oh no. All right. So if their over under is 11 or 10.5
over.
Yeah, I'm over as well. I don't think they get to 13-3. The thing is, I mean, this division could cannibalize itself. They could lose twice to the Seahawks. They could lose once to the Cardinals. They could lose to the Rams. I mean, any one of these teams can beat the 49ers. Let's look at their schedule and kind of go down it, because I'm actually really interested in
just seeing. Well, it is in being one of the toughest divisions. I mean, you have to count the Seahawks twice. You have to count, like I said, split with them. I mean, maybe we saw those games, and this is also one of the divisions that affects the playoff seeding the most, because we saw it last year in like week 15. These guys were still battling against the Seahawks because it's the difference in going from a 1 seed to a 5 seed, which ended up being, I honestly think, the difference in the road to the Super Bowl. If the 12th man gets to play at home, who knows what Russ can do there.
So they get the AFC East, which is the Dolphins, Jets, Patriots, and Bills, and then they also get the Giants, the
NFC East,
the NFC East as well. Thank you. So
they will destroy the NFC East.
Yeah. So that's the Giants, Eagles, Cowboys, and Redskins,
and they also get Dolphins and Jets in AFC East.
Yeah. So let's go down the schedule. They play the Cardinals. Do you want to say sweep the Cardinals or split with the Cardinals?
Sweep the Cardinals.
Okay. So we're gonna say sweep the Cardinals. That's not a given, but we'll say 1-0. Then they play the Jets 2-0, Giants 3-0, Eagles. That'll be a game, but we'll say 4-0, right?
It's at the 49ers.
Yeah.
Usually toss-ups, I go home.
Yeah. So Dolphins 5-0, Rams. Let's say they sweep. They split with the Rams, because I think they easily could.
Give them that one at home.
Okay. So 6-0.
That's hard to say that they start out 6-0 like that, though, isn't it?
Scary, right? And then and then they play the Patriots. I mean.
You know who the better team is.
Yeah,
you know who the better team is.
But we know, it's the Patriots. Let's give them 6-1 just to be, because they should slip up at least once in the first 7.
Losing to Seattle.
Okay,
I think they go on a skid right here. I do.
Yeah. So we're at 6-3. If they go to Seattle and lose, we're going to say they split the Seahawks as well. Packers. They play the Packers. So that's a tough run.
That makes them 6-3. Yes. By losing to the.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, right.
Yes.
So they lose so they're 6-3 going into the Saints. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then that's another tough game. Yeah. They could easily start out 6-0, and then you have to play. What was it? You have to play Patriots, Seattle, Green Bay, New Orleans. That's tough.
Yeah. So let's talk about this run. So they have an easy start of the season. Easy we put in parentheses. So that their first 5 games are the 49ers, Jets, Giants, Eagles, Dolphins. Then it gets tough. Then they have to go play the Rams, Patriots, Seahawks, Packers, Saints, Rams, Bills. That's a tough run. I mean, those are all good football teams.
It's a lot of good games.
Yeah, so those will all be incredibly interesting, and then they finish off the season. They should take care of the Redskins. They play the Cowboys, which should be tough. They play the Cardinals and the Seahawks again.
I think we're lining up for another time where it could be an 11-5, 12-4 ish, and Seattle's right there. And they're smart. The NFL's smart. They scheduled that game, the last division game against Seattle, at the perfect time. They know everyone's going to be battling for that last
That's
spot.
what happened last year. I mean, it was week 17. The
like I said,
49ers
it's
Seahawks.
The difference in a 1 seed and a 5 seed.
It was ridiculous because the 49ers are going into that game having already won 12 games, and they're still fighting for the division. All the Seahawks had to do was win that game, because then they would have had the head-to-head win, because they had already beaten the 49ers earlier that season. They would have tied with the 49ers at 12-4 if they would have beaten the 49ers, if the Seahawks would have beaten the 49ers in week 17, and they would have been, I believe, the 2 or 3 seed in the division. They would have won the division and then gone to the playoffs as the 2 seed, I believe. So that's just how crazy that this division was. The number 1 team in the NFC was fighting for the division spot at the last game of the season.
Yeah, well, that's why I think they did it. I do think this team got better, though. I do think that as long as the defense, Nick Bosa is going to stay emerging, he's going to stay just improving on his game, and he's going to help that overall line. You still have Richard Sherman. I still think he can contribute.
So we don't see regression really.
No, I don't see regression.
I don't see regression really either. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So I think
I would say look for some guys to break out. Look for Debo to hopefully make that next step. Look for Brandon Ayuk to be able to step up and find his spot. George Kittle, monster. Have fun stopping that. Yeah. The run game's gonna find its way.
The run game's gonna be fine. I mean, Kyle Shanahan always figures that out. The defense still looks really good. I mean, we're doing the top 5 offensive and defensive players later on in the pod, and I mean, I did defense. There's a lot of 49ers on the list. Yes. All right, so we'll move on to the Seahawks. Anything else you want to say about the 49ers?
No, give Juwan Jennings a shout out. 7th round. Come on.
7th round, Juwan Jennings.
You hate him.
I didn't think he was there.
We have listeners who like him. He's a playmaker. He's a big body guy. He has a lot of lore from the Volunteers, you know?
Yeah, he just wasn't a great prospect. That's all I would argue.
I'm not going to argue that.
I mean, look, he could be good. I don't know. He's going to the 49ers.
I just give the Tennessee shout out. I know we have people, a lot of Vols fans.
Are they a Super Bowl contender this year?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. All right, Seahawks. Their over/under is 9.5. They were 11-5 last year. I gotta be honest. I thought the Seahawks got better this year as well. So I'm just gonna right off the bat. I'm gonna say over.
I'm gonna say over as well.
9.5. But let's get into it. The first big question is.
The last big free agent.
The last big free agent
NFL
is Jadeveon Clowney. Still has not signed anywhere. We don't know what's going to happen with him. Obviously, I think he's just waiting. But he was a Seahawk last year, so obviously they lose Jadeveon Clowney, which is big. They lose George Fant, their left tackle, to the Jets. That was a big one. They lost their center, who to retirement, I believe. So that was interesting. They do add Greg Olsen, so that was a big signing you were excited about. I wasn't super excited about that.
I mean, he's battled ankle and foot injuries for a long time, but they utilize the tight ends a lot. I mean, there was a bunch of, I don't want to say nobodies, but I mean, guys last year that you could pick up and play fantasy value-wise, and it's like, run that guy. Seattle's tight end. He's good.
Absolutely agree. They traded for Quentin Dunbar this offseason, so they got Quentin Dunbar. He'll be pretty good. Ed Dickerson retires, so just names like that. I didn't feel like they lost a lot of pieces behind Jadeveon Clowney, and everything else that happened, I felt like it was either a positive or a neutral move. Like they're replacing a good player with another good player. Greg Olsen move, I'm not excited about, but it's not something I'm nervous. Like I don't care. I'll be perfectly honest. Like okay, whatever. As far as their draft, they had a very Seahawks draft.
Yes, they always do this.
Yeah, they picked guys who you were questioning.
I'll say it. I'm okay in saying it. I know that they've hit in years, but they have also missed too. I mean, to justify, you can talk about the Russell Wilson draft, the Bobby Wagner draft that they nailed. They killed that. Yep. Everyone was not big on that one. The past few years, though, I really think they've been lacking on it.
Yeah.
They've taken a bunch of weird names. They took Jordan Brooks, linebacker out of Texas Tech.
Shout out to one of my best videos on the podcast.
Yeah, that one's popping.
Jordan Brooks film review hit over 1,000 views organically. And
it's 12th man.
Yeah, so
12th man loves their football.
That was awesome. All right, continue. Sorry.
No, I mean, it's a reach. There's nothing wrong in saying that. He could hit, sure, but it is a reach. No one's sitting there talking about him.
Yeah, I agree. I thought Darrell Taylor in the second round was a reach as well. Another Tennessee guy, and look, I wasn't big on him coming out. I didn't consider him a day 1 or 2 pick, and he goes 48 overall, so that was surprising to me. Defensive end from out of UT, and then in the third round they get Damian Lewis, a run blocking guard, which was fine. So I
just thought it was weird to wait that long to address the O-line. I mean, I saw several decent O-linemen, instant plug and play guys that you can do when you have Russ, one of the greatest quarterbacks we've seen.
I want to talk about that, and I want to ask you how you feel about this. I feel like the Seahawks are doing a disservice to Russell Wilson.
They are,
and
they 100% are.
And I know this kind of sounds crazy because the Seahawks are consistently in the playoffs and everything, but man, Russell Wilson, for my money, is a top 3 quarterback in this league. I would argue last year he was the second best quarterback in the NFL. Well, second or third.
No, you're good in saying that. For a long time, it was an MVP race between him and Lamar. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So I mean, look, Russell Wilson is an absolute baller, and I don't understand why they build their team around the run instead of the pass. And granted, I understood a couple years ago when they had to kind of move to that because they didn't have a very good pass blocking offensive line, and they had an all right run blocking offensive line, so they had to move to that, and I understood that. We're a couple years away from that, and they're still. I mean, look, this guard out of LSU, he's a good guard, but he's a run blocking guard. That's his skill set. He's not pass blocking, he's run blocking. That's what he was good at.
It's the fact that they do it in the third round too. And their inability to go acquire free agents, or at least I don't even hear their name in the Trent Williams thing. That would be a dog that they could get on that offensive line. Someone who saves Russell. I almost feel like they think Russell does better off of the scramble and using his, but there's no way you can really justify that.
Yeah, I don't understand it because, Russell makes plays all the fucking
but just
time.
because your guy can do that doesn't mean you want him running for his life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm always upset with the Seahawks. The Seahawks are so much fun to watch, but it's just weird how for the first 3 quarters in every single game, they want to run first. They want to, run, pass, and punt the ball. I mean,
they're a very gritty team when it comes to
and then in the 4th quarter, they say, oh, Russell, we're down 10 points, save us. And he does it. And he does it so often that's their scheme. I mean, they did it so often last year. He was 11-5, and it's just ridiculous.
They're in a lot of close games.
They should have beat what was it, the Eagles? No, they beat the Eagles. Who'd they lose to in the playoffs? I can't remember.
The Pack.
Yes, they should have beat. That's what it was. They should have beaten the Packers in the playoffs. Like they had that game. They were the better football team, in my opinion, on that day. And I mean, they lost because I felt like they mismanaged some situations, and then they were in a situation where they had to go down and score a touchdown. Dude doesn't catch the ball, and it's over just like that. So it was one of those weird kind of things. I love the Seahawks. I think they're over this year. I think they're definitely going to win 10 games, especially the kind of we talked about it. They can beat the Dolphins. They can beat the Jets. They're going to beat They're going to beat. I
mean, you can just say it. They're a lock for a playoff. Yeah, they're going both the Seahawks and Niners. Just depending on how the division shakes up, I could easily see the Seahawks coming out in first in this.
The unfortunate part about it is, they still have to play the Rams. They still have to play the Cardinals. This division really could, and I know I already said it, but this division could cannibalize itself very, very seriously because there's 4 good football teams in this division. And, I know we're going to talk about the Cardinals later. We already know about the Rams a little bit. But, man, I mean, it's a tough division to be in, man. And I think the Seahawks...
Well, yeah, because, I mean, there's a way that you could twist the Rams. I mean, there's a lot of... We're talking 2 seasons from them being removed from the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, and I mean, remember how good that offense was?
Exactly.
And granted, they're 9-7, but they had some injuries last year. They had some bad luck go their way, and this year they should be better. I mean, I think their over under is 8.5. I think they're going to be a lot better than that. It's just weird because I'm going to be over on every single team, and one of these teams is going to disappoint.
At least, yeah. I mean, not everyone in the division can hit the over.
Yeah, so we'll move on. Do you have anything else you want to say about the Seahawks as far as...
No.
Yeah.
I just don't... I want better for Russell. I don't want to have to see Russ play hero ball all the time. Does a great job of doing it. Awesome to watch. Super fun. But, man, you just can't help but see some of the teams with great offensive lines protect their quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It would make him better.
Yeah.
It would.
So at 9.5, you're over. Would you bet on that? Would you seriously say, hey, go put money on that one?
I would go put money on the 49ers, and I would go put money on Seattle.
Okay. So I wouldn't put money on the 49ers just because I feel like that's high to expect any team to win, 11, 12 games. That's a tough one. But, I do agree. I think I would be over on both of them, and I could see myself betting. It's not the scariest bet in the world. All right.
I can do it.
Yeah, so the Rams, we'll talk about some of their moves. They lose Brandon Cooks, save a good bit of money by trading him to the Texans. They lose Dante Fowler, who, they kind of just traded for him for a couple years. They were never going to be able to afford him. He goes to the Falcons. Corey Littleton, their inside linebacker, goes to the Raiders. So they lose some pieces. They were able to re-sign Andrew Whitworth, so that was good. They added Leonard Floyd from the Bears. They added Ashawn Robinson, a defensive tackle from the Lions.
I think those are 2 really good signings. Losing Corey Littleton and Dante Fowler, man, that's okay. Some of those guys, they got way more money than what I really feel like they were worth.
Yeah.
Getting Ashawn and Leonard, that's good.
Yeah,
it's building up the interior around Aaron Donald.
I absolutely agree with that. Obviously, they lose Todd Gurley, but they replaced him in the draft. We'll get to that in a second. They lose Clay Matthews, but he was on the tail end of his career. That wasn't a huge loss, in my opinion. Greg Zuerlein, their kicker. Wow, I didn't realize they lost their kicker.
He's a good kicker, too.
Yeah, he's a good kicker. The Cowboys signed Greg Zuerlein kind of cheap. I didn't know that one. That's a crazy one. Nicole Robbie, they lose the guy who that was the guy who famously got away with the pass interference against the Seahawks and when they went to the Super Bowl. So I mean, that's the dude. He goes to the Eagles. Wow, yeah, they lost a lot of pieces, man. They did, and they replaced a good bit of them. That's crazy. I mean, I didn't realize, we really go down that list. I didn't realize how many starters they lost.
Don't say they're kicker or nothing like that.
Yeah, but I'm looking at a lot of starters on this team. Clay Matthews, not a huge loss, but he was a starter last year.
Well, I think one of the ones Eric Weddle.
Yeah,
was one of the big ones. Eric Weddle was a great safety.
Yeah, I think that they added some. I agree. There were 2 really good signings there. but more, they lost a lot of players. They did. I mean, I'll go out and say that.
And they're coming off of a disappointing year. There were injuries going on, yes, but I think we're starting to see the way that the Rams built. They had that small window, and I applaud them for at least going out and getting names and trying to do it while it's there.
Push for it, yeah.
I think it's closed.
Yeah,
It's closed.
I don't really disagree with you, honestly. And they go into the draft. They get Cam Akers in the second round. You and I were both very high on Cam Akers. I thought that was a great pick, number 52 overall.
Fantasy-wise, buy that man.
Super
I know it's
excited
off.
about
yeah,
that.
we'll get back to it. But fantasy-wise, buy him. Good God.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
But as far as taking, value in the draft for the amount of pieces that you lost and the amount of pieces that maybe could have added value, taking a running back in the second round, it's a sexy pick, but it's maybe not the best, pick for long-term success.
I like it, just depending on if they're trying to find their Todd Gurley, which they need another one.
I totally agree with that, and I think Cam Akers can absolutely be that. I think he'll be a valuable pick. I guess I'm more so saying it's strange because the running back position specifically is just like,
well, and it was the lack of all their other draft picks. They always get rid of their first round pick for guys that come in, big superstars. Jalen Ramsey, of course. I'm not going to sit here and say it was a bad deal.
Yeah,
but
now they got to pay him.
How many years do you? Yeah, exactly.
How many years can you trade your first?
And you got
to
hope that he's able to gel with your other guys in the locker room too.
Yeah.
You can only go out and get so many big names and hope that they work. Yeah. And by the way, I will crap on their round 2 57 overall pick in Van Jefferson.
Yeah.
They reached. They reached. I thought one of the areas that they didn't need was receiver. You have Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, and granted, they like to play a lot of 11 personnel, so that means 3 wide receivers. I think they wanted.
Don't go get Van Jefferson.
Van Jefferson was. You and I are both on the same page there. Great route runner, one of the best route runners in the class. You can go. I mean, I did a film review on him a long time ago, before the draft, and I talked about it. Look, he's a good route runner, but he's just not a complete player, in my opinion, and just. That's a weird pick, but the Rams.
He was a good receiver at Florida. He was able to. I mean, he did a lot of things, but not one thing popped out and said second round wide receiver in one of the deepest wide receiver classes we have seen in years.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe it works out. I do love their pick in Terrell Lewis. I talked about him a lot. Yeah. Borderline first rounder for me. Fell all the way to the third.
Agree. Yeah, falls to the third. And then another guy that got in the third, Terrell Burgess, safety out of Utah. I think we both love that as well.
They addressed their needs that they lost. They lost Eric Weddle. They went and got a safety. They lost some linebackers. They went and got Terrell Lewis.
Yep.
Todd Gurley. They got the running back.
It's just one of those things where you're betting on these guys that are mid-round guys to come in and produce right away.
Oh, of course.
That's not always a sure thing.
That's hard. Yeah.
That's not a sure thing at all, man. So when you talk about the Rams, it's kind of this whole division where I want to say they're going to be over. I look at the teams they're going to play, the division that they're going to go up against is in the AFC East and the NFC East. I'm not super nervous about it.
Do you believe in Jared Goff or do you believe in Sean McVay?
Sean McVay. I'll go.
So what is Goff?
Goff is an overpaid average quarterback. I'll say that. I think Goff is fine.
I would ask you if he can win a Super Bowl, but we saw it.
Yeah, he can win a Super Bowl. Yeah,
he can. Yeah,
well, yeah. I don't think that's not as big of a bar as we like to make it out to be. Look, this is a really good era for quarterbacks in the NFL.
It is.
I mean, there's a lot of good quarterbers. So look, Jared Goff is a good quarterback, and if we're comparing him to the kind of quarterback play we saw. 10, 15 years ago, where it was a good 30% of the league.
You had a core of 8 guys that dominated, and then after that, it was who's the guy?
Exactly. I feel like it was 30% of the league was on a yearly basis. Like, who's going to be our quarterback this year? Mm-hmm. This year, I mean, look, we watched Cam Newton get signed in June because there weren't a lot of teams that needed a quarterback. Well, there's a lot of young guys. There's a lot of teams that believe in their dude. The Rams have a middle-of-the-road guy who, yes, they can win a Super Bowl, but he needs help. He does.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
But Sean McVay can do that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So again, Jared Goff's one of those guys. I'm not going to give him a lot of wins, but I'm not going to take away a lot of wins from him either. So I like some pieces of his game.
I put them over at 8.5.
Yeah, I do too. I think they won 9. They didn't win 9
games
last year.
They just have too many names, and we didn't even talk about Aaron Donald, one of the greatest defenders in the National Football League.
Yeah,
he solely accounts for wins.
Yeah,
whenever I'm looking at it, I mean,
I absolutely agree. One of the greatest. I mean,
no way they go 7-9, right?
Yeah,
no way.
I mean, they could go 8-8 though. I could see it. I could see it, but at the same time, they went 9-7 last year, and they were, they struggled with injuries and stuff,
and also a tougher schedule too, based on their division placement from the year before.
Yeah.
So
no, I do agree with that. I'm going to go over as well. I'm just kind of saying that the way this is working out is I'm going to say over on every single team, and I'm going to be wrong somewhere.
I haven't seen the Cardinals yet, but if it's 6.5, 5.5, I put them over that. So
yeah,
I don't want to say over on every single team either, but gosh, I would put money on the first two, though. Put money on the 49ers, put money on the Seahawks. I wouldn't touch. Yeah. I don't think you can touch the others.
I'll take the Rams, man. All right, so let's talk about the Cardinals. They're 7.5. I'm gonna say over again. I am. Look. There were 10. There were 5. I said
5.5, 6.5. I'm saying under on 7.5.
You're gonna say under on 7.5. There were 5-10-1 last year. The Cardinals are gonna be a good football team. Obviously, look. So let's go down some of the guys they added. They add DeAndre Hopkins. That's a big deal. They traded for DeAndre Hopkins. They add DJ Humphries back. They get him back. That was a good one. They trade David Johnson. That's fine. Larry Fitzgerald signs on for another year. They get Jordan Phillips, who's a defensive tackle for the Dolphins and the Bills. Now the Cardinals, I felt like they overpaid him. That's okay. They re-signed Kenyon Drake. They made some moves here where I feel like they're going in the right direction, man. I really do. I'm excited for what they're doing. And then in the draft, I mean, they add Isaiah Simmons.
The draft is where they really popped off, and DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, we know what Isaiah Simmons is going to be. I mean, we can be pretty excited about that at linebacker. I think he's going to be a monster in the middle of the field for the Cardinals. And then they spent their second round pick basically on DeAndre Hopkins. So in the third round, they get Josh Jones. Yeah, they get Josh Jones, a tackle who was in the conversation for a first round pick at one point. So there's got to be some upside there. The rest of the draft, whatever, those are later round picks. We'll see what happens. Interesting pick at the very end of the draft. Benjamin, running back. I think he's somebody who could be somebody to look at.
He can be their scout back.
Yeah, exactly.
Kenyon Drake gets banged up or someone, he can step in and do it.
Just a name.
No, they're a really exciting team when you look at all the pieces. You would hope to think that Kyler is able to make that next step. I know I've come out as a Kyler hater a lot of times. At the end of the day, first overall pick, great arm, mobility is there. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is there. Larry Fitzgerald is there. It is a solid offensive line. They get a lot more crap than what they really are due. So, I mean, if Cliff is able to get the system rolling, I think that they are going to be a product of getting eaten up and spit out by this division, though.
Yeah. Look, so
how can you ask him to be able to go and compete against these defenses, rather?
Yeah, I get that. My thing is one of the best things I saw the Cardinals do last year was mid-season. We watched Cliff Kingsbury change the offense to account for their struggle, right? So he actually reworks the offense in the middle of the season, and they start winning down the stretch. I think that is a huge indicator that Cliff Kingsbury can be malleable with his offense. He can work his offense around the team he has, and he's willing to do whatever he has to do.
Some of those wins were to credit of Kenyon Drake. I mean, he balled out towards the end right there. They were able to run the ball.
I absolutely agree with that, man. I'm excited for this team. I think it's 7.5. Look, that might be inflated a little bit because of DeAndre Hopkins. I'm going to say over, man. I am.
What?
I think. It would be more. I
think they need another year.
I'm going to say something a little bit probably crazy. I think it's more likely that either the Rams, 49ers, or Seahawks, one of those teams falls off a little bit and goes under than it is the Cardinals don't hit this over. Does that make sense? I
get what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm saying it's more likely that there's a fall.
It would be way easier for the 49ers to not win 12 games, than it is for the Cardinals to win 8. I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
But defensively, I really don't think they got a lot better. They got Isaiah Simmons. That's cool. You have Chandler Jones. Good. You have an aging Pat P. Love Pat P to death, too. But, it's a defense that they're going to have to bring their lunch every single week. And I just think they have it in some areas, think they don't in others.
Listen, I get it. This is a 3-year rebuild, and they're in year 2. So expecting the world of the Cardinals.
That's why I said I think that they will do better than 5-10-1. I think 6 or 7 is right there.
Yeah, I totally get that. I really believe Kyler is going to account for a couple extra wins. I think they're just going to be one of those teams that's just a pain in the ass for a lot of football teams. I think they missed the playoffs just barely at 8-8 or 9-7. But
gosh,
I'm going
to say
over.
Can't see it, man.
I'm going to say over. I really am.
I admire you thinking that Kyler can do that next step, and I'm trying to open my eyes more and get away from the hatred behind the whole Kyler coming out. It was
you hold on to off the field stuff though, right?
Well, there was a lot of stuff for me that just looked at Kyler and was just like, I'm good. I didn't like the lying about your height thing. Yeah. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way about gelling your hair up and spiking it up to make sure that you hit this 5'10" and 3/4 8s, whatever the hell you want to call it.
You're 5'9", dude.
You're 5'9". It's okay. Play to what your strengths are. Play to your ability.
Nothing wrong with being 5'9".
Nothing wrong with that at all. That's what we are. I'm 5'9". I could never be a quarterback in the NFL, but I'm 5'9". I'm not gelling my hair up to fix it like that. But The baseball thing threw me away from the baseball thing threw me away for Kyler in itself. I lost a little bit of respect for him in that. I can't tell him what to do, of course. We all know that. And he probably did the thing that was better for his career, getting the money right now. It's a more guaranteed thing. Baseball is a way slower route. They send you to the minors for years. I mean, we saw 2 years ago, first pick, Casey Mize came out, and he's still in the minors.
Yeah.
That's 2 years later.
Yeah.
That's the number 1 overall pick.
It was one of those things where the conventional wisdom off the bat was, oh, go play baseball because there's more money in it long run. Well, yeah, there is, but if you have the opportunity to be the first pick in the draft, and if you believe in yourself, you'd be good. There's a higher chance that you're going to hit that millions of dollars mark and that top quarterback money in 4 or 5 years than there is that you're ever going to get that big payday with baseball. That just is what it is.
I get why he did it. It was the promise to the A's in Oklahoma, and I watch
You're a baseball guy. Yeah.
Well, it's just thinking that if you were to give your guy that chance and then you wasted your first 9th overall pick, that's good talent gets found there.
Yeah.
For it to be gone, it's like I'd be sitting there like someone lost his job over that. Whoever gave Kyler that option, someone lost their job.
Yeah, it's stupid. Anybody who saw Kyler Murray and said, "Oh yeah, you can go back and play football for a year." No, they should never let him do that. They should have just.
At the end of the day, I hope Kyler did what made him happiest. Though, I mean, that's all you can want is personal happiness. And I'm trying to get away from the hatred towards him. It's not even hatred. It's just a bad taste. I'd rather have Baker than Kyler, and I think I am in the minority in saying
I'd rather have Kyler.
I think I'm in the and I'm okay in saying.
And I think Baker's good.
No, I acknowledge that Kyler has ability too. He has a rocket arm. I would say a top 5 arm in the National Football League when you look at overall strength.
I couldn't disagree with that.
He's got a rocket. He does
top 5, top 10. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a rocket on him. The Rookie of the Year thing last year, I didn't think he should have gotten that.
Yeah, I get it.
It's overhyped. I see a lot of overhype. He was the number 1 quarterback in a bad quarterback class. Okay. Drew Lock and Dwayne Haskins went alongside him.
Well, Drew and the guy who went to the Giants.
Daniel Jones. Yeah, I stand by it. Stand by what I said. I think you only helped my point.
I mean, look, I'm not going to disagree with that. We're talking about 4 guys from that class that have a chance to, that are going to have a good, that are all going to be starting this year. I didn't
mean to get this far off topic with Kyler. I didn't mean to get that far off topic with Kyler, okay? I think he's going to account for some wins. He's not hitting his stride this year, though. I think he's going to take another year. Ferd.
All right. So we'll move on. Man, that's crazy. I'm looking at this division. I just don't see a team that's gonna drop off, and I'm usually pretty good at picking the team that's gonna drop off. I'm not seeing one this year with any of these guys. I'm really not.
Rams?
Maybe the Rams. The Rams are probably my most likely pick, but man,
how can they drop off from 8-8 though?
Yeah, I agree. I don't see the Seahawks dropping off that much. I just don't.
None of these teams are bottom feeders in the league anymore. I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and it could be any of them. It really could. I think the 49ers, I don't really expect it, but it could happen. I believe in Kyle Shanahan too much to really expect them to fall off the face of the earth. And again, with the Seahawks, I believe in Russell Wilson too much to fall off the face of the earth. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough. It's going to be interesting. All right, so we'll move on. So we are going to finish the show out with our top 5 offensive and defensive players of this division, of this NFC West. Do you want to go first or want me to go first? I got the easy one. I got to do defense this week.
So that means you go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. So, look, this division is loaded in defense, and look, you might disagree with my placement here, but I don't think you can disagree with the top 5.
Dang, you got some honorable mentions.
Let me go down the list of honorable mentions. Honorable mention, KJ Wright, Shaquille Griffin, Quentin Dunbar, Jimmy Ward, D. Ford, Richard Sherman, Patrick Peterson, Eric Armstead. All honorable mentions.
Some ballers.
Those are some ballers. At number 5.
No Sherm or Pat P on the list.
No, not on my top 5 list. No, and that's ridiculous. Yeah, I get it, but I mean, we're going to talk about some stars.
About the stars, yeah.
So Bobby Wagner is my number 5 linebacker for the Seahawks for a lot of years, and I mean he's just been. I think he's a future Hall of Famer. I really do. I think he's already at that point for me. This is a guy who he came in. He was part of the Legion of Boom there for a couple of years, and he's just been so good for so long. Fits that scheme so perfectly. Just a baller at linebacker. Has been a top 5 linebacker for years, and he's number 5. And he's only number 5 because he's fallen off a little bit over the past year and a half, 2 years. He's getting older. That's kind of why I put him at 5. he's a star, man. He's he's still one of the best linebackers in the league. And
I like him. I would have put him higher.
It's almost disrespectful. Yeah, I get it. But I think at best you can put him at 4. You could argue with me with the 4 spot, but I don't think you can really put him much higher than that with the guys in this division. Chandler Jones is my number 4, and that was tough. I was really between these two. Chandler Jones is an underrated guy. He really is. He doesn't get a lot of publicity because he plays in Arizona and he's a defensive tackle, so he doesn't get these like wow numbers. He is a fuck the play up guy every single week. Every single week he is in the backfield. He is causing havoc in that to any offense that plays him. He's one of those guys you can't game plan him for because he's just gonna blow your guard, blow your center off the line, and he's gonna be disruptive one way or the other. So I believe in Chandler Jones. I think he's one of the best defensive tackles in the league, and truly I think he might be
unsung hero on that defense too.
I think he might be the most underrated player in the National Football League because I just never hear people talking about him. He's one of the best players. I mean, he really is. He's one of the best defensive tackles, one of the best defensive linemen in the league. He's really fucking good, and I have him number 4. Look, I get why you'll probably disagree that he should be he shouldn't be in front of Bobby Wagner. I get that. I might get a little bit of pushback there. I think
you gave him a little bit more credit here though, just because he never gets the credit before.
Yeah, and part of it there was that a little bit, and then Bobby Wagner's just a little bit older and has declined just a little, so I put him at 5. At number 3, Jalen Ramsey. And Jalen Ramsey could easily be number 1 on this list. I think he's the best cornerback in the league. The only reason he's at number 3 is because he went to the Rams midseason and it wasn't super pretty right off the bat. He's learning a different system. He's learning a different defense. So I get why there might have been a little bit of he was still really good. He was still a top corner in the league when he went to the Rams. It fell off just a touch from best in the league, one of the best corners I've ever seen play the football game. But yeah, for years since he's been drafted essentially out of Florida State, whoop whoop. He's one of the best corners we've ever seen. There's a reason he wants top money. The reason he's gonna get top money. He's the best corner in the NFL, and he is my number 3. I think that's almost disrespectful, man. I really do. I think it's crazy.
Yeah, he's
I love Jalen Ramsey. I really do. All right, so we will move on to Nick Bosa at number 2 spot. Nick Bosa, he's going into his 2nd year. I don't care. He's one of the most dominant defensive ends in the NFL already. One defensive rookie of the year. He could have won defensive MVP. I mean, he really was in that conversation. So. Man, what else is there to say about Nick Bosa? We saw it all last year. He's just a one-man wrecking ball.
He's the complete package. Yeah. And what is kind of crazy, just a little bit off topic, but they said Chase Young is better.
Yeah.
Supposedly. Said Chase Young is better than both Bosa brothers.
Can't get
Those
much
are big
better,
shoes to fill. You can't get much better than that because I think this year Bosa could be able to overtake Aaron Donald in the division.
Yeah, he's so dominant, man. He just is. And look, Nick Bosa coming in his 2nd year, I had some trepidation there. I considered bringing him down just because we've only seen 1 year of him in the NFL. Man, that's all I needed to see. At the end of the day, he's just so fucking dominant.
I think that's why they were so willing to be able to trade DeForest Buckner.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And he got helped because his entire defensive line was really good, and I get that. But he was the cherry on top for that defense, and I mean, really a big piece that helped them be so dominant on the defensive side of the ball. And really, I think a huge reason why Sherman was helped so much. Sherman, is aging, and a lot of people are going to ask why wasn't Sherman on your list? One of the best cornerbacks we've seen in the league for a long time. Well, Sherman's aged and he's declined a little bit skill wise, and I think he was helped a lot by a defensive line that gave that helped the secondary on that team a good bit. And then number 1. I mean, we could make a top 5 players in the NFL list, and Aaron Donald's probably going to be on that list.
It's the guy who trains with knives whenever he does his pass rushing moves. He's crazy.
Yeah, Aaron Donald. I mean, just one of the most dominant defensive players I've ever seen. A first ballot Hall of Famer already, a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, truly just a generational talent. I mean, really, one of the greatest players we've ever seen. One of those guys where I truly believe, 5-10 years from now, I'll be telling my kids about. Yeah, I remember watching Aaron Donald play, and he was fucking awesome.
Yeah,
I mean that's how good he is, and I don't think anyone could argue that he's number 1.
So what team has it be the Rams? The Rams really have the meat when you come to your list.
Yeah, with Jalen Ramsey and
Aaron Donald. Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald. It is a team, once again, that they have so much potential. They just got to do better.
Yeah, I agree. And look, that's the thing. In my opinion, they have the best defensive lineman in the league, and they have the best cornerback in the league. I mean,
and if they had some close games last year, I think they missed a field goal, which cost them 1, and they ended up being 1 game out of the playoffs. It's a team that if they make the playoffs, that's scary.
Oh, absolutely.
Because once you get to the playoffs, it's
especially with their retooled offense. I mean, that's what they did in the draft. They said, "Hey, we're gonna retool our offense, and we're gonna get back and try and be good." Look, I said I could see them going under at 8-8 or 8.5. I could see them going 8-8 or worse. I could see them being a 12-win team too. So it's like there's a lot of variance there. I believe in Sean McVay. I believe in that team. It's just tough. It's really tough to prognosticate that kind of stuff.
Bet.
All right, I'll let you go with your defense, or offense.
Offense, yeah. Honorable mentions. I will give the first one to the best fullback in the NFL. Fullbacks never get love, but when it comes to the 49ers rushing attack, Kyle Shanahan gives love to Kyle Juszczyk, and he deserves it too. He opens up so many holes. Kyle Juszczyk. Then we go Trent Williams, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, DK Metcalf. Honorable mentions.
All great names.
Yeah, and there's some that could have been up there, I'm sure. And I think you might give it to me right here with number 5, Tyler Lockett.
Okay.
I think Tyler Lockett is more than just a deep ball guy. I really think that he is a number 1 receiver in the league. I think he is a top 15 wide receiver overall. It's hard to put him in the top 10. There are weeks that he's there. And I do think it is because of Russell Wilson. I will say that. Great talent, though. I'm hoping by this time next year, DK should take that spot from him.
So I'm gonna let you go through your entire list, and then I'll.
Then you'll roll back.
Yeah, then I'll roll back. If that's okay with you.
No, that's fine. Number 4, Kyler Murray. I give him a lot of crap. At the end of the day, he's super exciting. It's gonna be fun. Him, DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, who I still think's got a little bit of gas left in the tank on a team where he doesn't have to be the true number 1 now. Kenyon Drake. It's gonna be fun. I can't wait to watch it. And
Christian Kirk. I mean, he could be a big piece.
Yeah,
of that,
we have a lot of names that haven't
absolutely.
really hit yet. Andy Isabella, I think, is another one. Yeah. George Kittle, number 3. You could argue that he should be higher, and I can't blame you. He is doing what Gronk did for so long, and he's still doing it, and he's doing it while remaining healthy throughout the entire year. He's exciting to watch. He's fun. He's Jimmy G's favorite guy. Yeah. Best receiver on that team.
Best receiver and one of the best blockers too. I mean, he's so dominant on both sides of both.
I think he genuinely loves doing both too. It just looks like he's having fun out there.
It's awesome because they found a guy in the draft that was a blocking tight end and said, "Oh yeah, you're big and fast and strong. You can catch the ball too." Awesome player.
I love George Kittle. He demands 2 people on him.
Yeah, and one of the best things I ever did was drafting him in our keeper league.
Yeah, he snagged him good.
Oh, dude, I'm excited about it.
And George Kittle would be too if this trade didn't happen and the Cardinals didn't happen to somehow land DeAndre Hopkins on their team for a 2nd-round pick. D-Hop's number 2 overall, best receiver in the NFL, sorta.
Yeah, I'll
you
put
can't
my
say
stamp
the
on
best. You can't
I
just
will
say
put
the
on
best.
I will put my stamp on it that I think DeAndre Hopkins is the best receiver in the league, in my opinion.
Top 3.
Top 3, yeah.
I'm okay in saying top 3. That's where I leave it.
I think that's totally fair, right? Like,
you can say the best.
If I make my list of top 5, I think you and I can make a list of top 5. The placement's gonna be different. We're gonna have the same names in there. I'll say DeAndre Hopkins for me, from what I've seen. I don't think I'm being too crazy there.
Well, that's why I said if we're splitting hairs over who is 1, 2, and 3,
I mean, Michael Thomas and Julio above him. Fine, I'm not gonna argue too much on that.
And we know the names that are there. Yeah. He is a guy who could truly help Kyler a lot.
I agree.
I hope that he's still able to get the same looks, and he was able to do this stuff at Houston with Brandon Weeden and Trevor Siemian and
garbage.
Some more exactly. And he even said that too. He has no problem calling out his guys that were trash on his team. He has no problem doing that. Number 2 overall. Number 1, Russell Wilson. MVP could be. It's going to be hard with Pat Mahomes and Lamar taking over the NFL at the time, but last year Russell Wilson was very, very close. Yeah. And he truly leads the Seattle Seahawks, I think, to 11, 12 wins and hopefully a deep playoff run.
Yeah. All right. So my biggest issue, can you keep it up just so I can look at it?
Oh, yeah.
So my biggest issue with your list, 1, Tyler Lockett. And at
you
number
hate
5,
him.
I don't hate him. First
you
of all,
hate him.
Let me say this first of all. Love Tyler Lockett. I truly do, because I think Tyler Lockett is one of those guys who constantly undervalued in fantasy. Like you draft him in the 5th, 6th round. I think last year I got him in the 7th round, and he's consistently outperforms his draft position in fantasy.
Here comes the
I think he's one of the best players in the league, but he is not the best wide receiver on his own team. DK Metcalf is a more talented wide receiver, in my opinion.
Yeah, more talented in physical ability. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I agree. And Tyler Lockett, look, he's good. He's a great slot receiver / deep threat type of guy, and Russell Wilson makes him a lot better than he probably is, which isn't a bad thing. Quarterbacks do that for wide receivers. It's not an insult. DK Metcalf is physically one of the most impressive specimens we've seen at the wide receiver position for years.
I couldn't get it to him yet, though. I couldn't give it to him yet because
splitting hairs, man. I agree.
No, I know. He did have a limited route tree, and they came out and said that with Pete Carroll talking about the team, they hope that he can develop that next game and fully have the whole route tree.
I think if you look at his season in a full, you see a guy they used it in the right way in the first year, and you saw him develop his route tree throughout the season. Yeah, he's not going to be his 3-cone was bad, and he's never going to be one of those guys that's running those super precise, crazy ass routes that we see in the league. But man, it doesn't matter. He can run, jump, and catch.
No, I get that. And that's why I said by the end of next year, DK should be in that spot. But right now, I think Tyler Lockett is the number 1 wide receiver on that team.
Okay, fair enough. I disagree with that, but fair enough. As far as the rest of your...
I know everyone else is going to agree with you on DK just because he's exciting, just because he's fun. Yeah. I mean, that's cool. I get that.
I support you. I support you putting your stamp on guys you agree with. As far as your top 3, couldn't argue a bit. I mean, Russell, Hobbs, and Kittle is exactly where I had him. Kyler Murray... I think I 100% agree with you as well. I'm surprised you had him on your list. I really am.
I am trying to develop an understanding.
Yeah, he's a really good football player. I think if I made this list, I probably would have put him at 5 just because he's going in his second year.
Who would be 4?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I
put DK at 4.
You're right. I can't put anybody. I think if I'm really making your list,
I just have a problem putting a second-year receiver at number 4.
You're right. I'm probably putting DK at 5 and Kyler at 4. Yeah, so I actually really like your list. I think it's a good one.
If anything, I was gonna kick Tyler Lockett off and give the shout out to Trent Williams.
Yeah, Trent Williams could have been 5, or 4. Honestly,
I mean, he's dominant. If Trent Williams is 5, then I'd have no problem doing the package deal on Tyler Lockett, DK, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. You're
absolutely right. I think
because I think Cooper Kupp has weeks where he outshines DK and Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, some weeks, absolutely. Especially last year, he had an awesome season last year. All right, anything you want to say about my list? Do you have any?
Bobby Wagner's low.
Bobby Wagner's low.
I like Bobby Wagner, but it's so hard to do that. Your problem is that you had too much talent. I had kind of after 4 and 5, it's kind of like
you could have argued about a couple.
Yeah, there's a lot of arguments. You have names that just have to be up there.
Yeah.
You can't justify not having Jalen up there.
Yeah.
You can't justify not having, like you said, Bobby Wagner.
Yep.
Eric Armstead's good, not top 5. Pat P and Richard Sherman, I think, might be where you hear something.
Yeah. So would you put Sherman or Pat P in the top 5? And who do you kick out?
Richard Sherman had a great season last year.
He did.
But who do I kick out?
Yeah.
I don't want to say Chandler Jones, but that's the name that goes.
You think that's the name that goes?
You know that's the name that goes.
And then you put Bobby Wagner at 4.
But it's disrespectful to Chandler Jones, though, because he never gets the attention. He never gets that respect.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, guys. Hey, thank you. You have anything else you want to add?
No.
I'm good, too. All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you are on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Also, go on your favorite podcast app and download the channel or the podcast there as well. We really appreciate that, guys. We have been growing a lot over the past month, and it's just been awesome to see some genuine growth. And hopefully, we're gonna have some more with joining this podcast network with the Underdog Podcast Network. I need to go. I'm talking too much, guys. Follow me on Twitter @BetweenPylons. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Peace.
7.